Okay, Maryna now. This is where we get a little
Mm-hmm.
bit controversial. Okay, because we're talking about shields now. Shields in this game can be a little bit frustrating for certain characters more than others because they essentially have a passive defense that guards quite a bit of their body, right?
Right.
And they're also great at single tempo as well, so you can block with the shield and just hit right away. And a lot of characters don't have that type of utility, but these shield characters, like, that's kind of their thing, right? Using the
And
weapons together.
Gladiatoria. So Marina's going to play with the open and the closed guard and shift back and forth, I assume.
Yes.
Let's see how wrong I am.
I will say though, Kupel did a good job balancing certain aspects of these characters. The leg is a
Mm-hmm.
prime target, for example. You can go
Right.
high-low against the shield pretty well. It's a common tactic. Get them blocking
Yep.
high and then go low. They cannot grapple, of course. You can't like
Mm-hmm.
obviously in an actual fight you can do stuff like hooking with the shield and blah blah blah, but that's for stuff like half sword where you can freely move your character, not a game like this. So there's no grappling for these shield characters, and that's
Right.
probably a good thing. I think characters without a shield probably should have tools like that the shield user doesn't have to help
Agreed.
balance it out.
Otherwise you've got a significant disadvantage.
Yeah,
I mean, if you because realism doesn't necessarily make the best game. If I
yeah,
can punch you in the neck with the side of my shield, well, that gives me a real I win button. I win buttons
yeah,
aren't good for games.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
she
So
does
you
have a
get
push,
a beat
but
attack.
yeah. But it's not like she can jam the rim of the shield into your face and then you're actually taking damage. You know what I mean? You're just sort of knocked
Mm-hmm.
off balance. But by the
Right.
same token, see if I can
You
find
go
the
to do
push
that and
button.
Barabush snap cuts you in the face, you've got a problem.
Yeah. And if you are not a shield character and you're like, how do I get through the guard? You can still push shield characters as well.
Good.
There you go. Yeah. So especially if I hold this shield out there, like you can just push it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that's a nice tool against them as well. And you can grapple, which the shield user cannot do up close. So it's a bit ironic
So
for
if they go to
sabers.
push your long guard, can you snap cut right into their hands, or will that take your body mechanics offline and force you to recover your balance first?
So I would say, generally speaking, if your shield is pushed, you're open
Okay,
in this
cool.
game.
That makes a
Yeah,
much better game.
yeah. As for her moves, she has some nasty side steps, and
Mm-hmm.
this can you can run into trouble fast. If you're just gonna walk forward with a basic cut, she can just block you and nail you like that. And you can
I
see
like
even
that
if he's
Armenian
standing
style
there.
saber too. You don't see that depicted very often.
Yeah, there was a saber like this in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 as well. The Cuman troops were using that. And it's a saber just like this,
Hmm.
which is interesting. I don't know how accurate that is for Cuman troops at that time. I know Hungary had sabers, absolutely, but
Depends on which cumin.
yeah. And you can see it actually tricks the auto guard as well. I don't know if that's a bug, but nevertheless, she's getting a good angle, so it is tough to
Yes,
defend against,
consistently getting a
regardless.
good angle.
Yeah. The reason people think it's a bug is it might be the wrong guard. It looks like he's trying to block the leg, but I think even if Kubel fixed that, it would still be a dangerous move, just because of
If you
physics.
look at the way Marina's pivoting on that front foot, I don't think that's a bug because it's not just a side. There it is. It's not just a sidestep she's doing like the others. She'll take that foot, slightly turn it out, but then she pivots on it, and the whole
Hmm,
angle changes immediately.
I see.
Contrary to stereotype, your very high level Buhurt fighters will do this on the regular, and nobody talks about it, which is weird
Yeah.
because you get that sudden angle, and then the longer defense that's so hard to break suddenly turns into a giant arm or flank buffet.
Hmm. And also, if you whiff this sidestep, I will say, like what's open? The leg is open. So
Mm-hmm.
Barbash with his longer saber and generally higher reach, a lot of other sabers can do this too. If they see her with this, they can try to go low for the leg, and then that can be an
Yep.
open target. So you do have to space it well too. You can't just sort of mindlessly throw it against an opponent who's actually moving around and trying to also hit you.
Right.
And she has some of
Nice
these
linked cuts.
whirlwind cuts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sidestep Y cut. And this one
That
as
was
well, which is
nice.
cool. Yeah.
Kubel
Yeah.
did a really good job showing that the point of the shield is to simply invalidate target area.
Mm-hmm.
So when Maryna flicks out to make several of these cuts and is changing the facing of that shield, a lot of the openings are simply vanishing simply because the shield is facing that way or facing the other way. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really subtle detail that lots of people depicting shield use don't catch.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And I'm actually doing this with the stick, by the way. If you use long guard, you can tilt the shield
Hmm.
a little bit as you move, which is
Right.
kind of nice.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah. You can't do that from neutral, and that's probably a good thing. So you lose a bit of the handling of the shield, but you gain mobility, so that's also nice. So there's a
Hmm.
trade-off between these two stances, which I think is good for
Good.
balance, and it makes a lot of sense too.
Absolutely. Oh, beautiful, nice flat snap cut.
Yeah,
There's a lot of reach on that. Show me that again if you would.
sure. Right to the
Yes,
face.
beautiful. See how the animation or the mocap has the entire right side of the body move forward?
Yeah,
You'll see this attack a lot in some of the older Lacan styles.
yeah,
So you get a little bit of that moulinet and then it comes right around and it's got a good foot and a half more reach than you would guess it does. That's a really nice set of detail on the body mechanics.
yeah,
She's sliding and pivoting while she sets up the moulinet, and then the cut just pops right in.
yeah. Yeah, and somebody in the community was recently talking about this cut because people were sleeping on her long guard. Nobody was using it. It's like, yeah, some of her cuts from here are actually pretty powerful. Maybe we should try them
Hmm.
more. I'd say a lot of how she plays, she likes moving in and out a lot as well, like a boxer kind of.
Yep.
So that's what her playstyle more or less looks like. Her HP actually, by the way, is not very high either. Yes, she has the shield, but I think for balancing reasons and for very good reason, her HP in general is among the lowest in the game, if not the lowest. So you are rewarded for hitting her weak spots and hitting her sword hand, that type of thing. She does not like being hit in those places at all. It
Yeah.
will likely take her
Makes
out of the
sense.
fight. What else? She has this attack as well.
Yep. Beautiful.
Very difficult to defend against. Often the best way is to beat it aside. Even long guarding it sometimes is very awkward because of where
I
it's
was about to
aiming.
say that looks like her go-to murder fuel against the rapierist set.
Yeah, rapiers really hate Maryna because of that passive shield defense. If the thrust is deflected by that shield, it's often
You're in
over.
trouble.
Yeah. So you get rapier players in this game in tournaments. Often they're telling people they know play shield characters. They're like, please don't pick the shield. It's really funny.
Well,
Yeah.
reach isn't everything.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's an awful lot, but it's not everything.
Yeah. And that is where she suffers, to be fair. Like even characters like Barabash, they have a reach advantage on her. So often when you're fighting her, that's where you're trying to leverage to win. You're harassing her from a distance, you're going high low, you're sidestepping as well towards her sword
Hmm.
side. And that's also a good way to hit her.
Yep.
What
That
else?
ankle flexion she's doing gives her good distance shifting.
Yeah.
So you get the advantage of doing sort of a demi lunge to duck in, duck out. I could see somebody who wanted to pay really close attention to footwork, frustrating the crap out of people with this character, even over and above the shield.
Yeah. And this move is pretty cool because it's a feint. So if you chase
Mm-hmm.
her when she's moving back like this, usually double
Yeah.
dashing means you're exposed, but not in this case when you're throwing the cut like so. So this can catch somebody who's really overly aggressive a lot of the time.
That footwork reminds me of something. It's going to drive me nuts until I figure out what it is.
Yeah, well, please let us know if you figure it out. I'm really curious.
Oh, I know what it is. It's just the upper body's not quite matched to it. Yeah, her lower body almost moves like the old Soviet boxers.
Really?
Yeah, really rigid ankle and lots of forward back distance manipulation game. And the
Yeah,
tilt of the upward body plays into that.
yeah. That's interesting because I saw her move set. I saw the way she's moving. I'm like, she's like a boxer. But of course, I didn't know it was Soviet boxing. That's fascinating.
Well, I mean,
But
that's one
it makes
style of
sense.
moving.
Yeah,
An actual boxer will look at that and go, okay, that's not a boxing stance. That's not actually how
yeah,
they
yeah.
fight. And Marina's move set, to put it in gaming terms, is not even remotely what a Soviet boxer does with their upper body. But
I
a lot
see.
of the high energy ankle work she's doing is kind of similar to that.
I see. And that's called the cheek slice. She has some interesting angles where she cuts around the shield.
Yup.
And I will say she doesn't win a lot of tournaments. There's debate as to whether or not that's because people are trying to be honorable and they don't like the shields very much. They don't find them fun. Or if they are a little bit bad. It could be a bit of both. Um,
I think if you have something like this in terms of game design, you're gonna have to balance, and you always have to balance down. No
yeah,
one ever wants to hear the truth, but if you balance upward, then all of a sudden you're having to improve everybody and you wind up chasing your tail. By
yeah,
balancing down, she's got something unique and different she can do for variety without it turning into an I win button. I
right.
would rather have people wondering if the shield is any good versus just, oh, they showed up with the shield, they're going to win this.
Yeah, so that's boring gameplay at that point because everybody's just gonna pick these two, her and Connor, because Connor has the Tar shield and the broadsword, which we'll
Hmm.
get to. But yeah, I agree 100%. But it was very controversial when it came out. Like people were like, "Does it even fit the game?" Because shields are just they can be really annoying to fight against, and it can be very easy to fall into many of her traps where she single tempos you and just hits your head, and then
Right, but this
it's
is
like, what do you
this is
do? But
effectively set in the Polish Republic. Dudes
right,
dudes with Kalkan were absolutely all over the place.
right, yeah,
There's no pretending those guys weren't there.
yeah. And my understanding is with Scottish fencing, the Tars was always there too, in this time period in particular. There's a
Absolutely.
point where
Scottish
they get rid of it,
mercenaries were
but
common across Eastern and East Central Europe.
yeah. Although a lot of us would love that two-handed claymore because it's so iconic, but the Targe and the broadsword, to my understanding, much more common among the Scots, even in this time period.
Much.
Yeah, but a lot of people were like, maybe that'd be more interesting, which is an interesting point, or maybe he'd be more interesting if he only had the broadsword. But you don't want to be
I
too
think,
close to Kalkstein though either, right? So it's like,
well, yeah, there's that. But at the same time, the way guards work in this game,
hmm
you would have a really hard time, I'm guessing, balancing out a great sword because it is absolutely possible to bully a great sworder or a long sworder with a shorter weapon,
yeah,
but you have to make your parries at the proper part of the blade. And in this game, because of how the mechanics have to be set up as a universal baseline,
yeah,
your guard is going to repel a lot more of those attacks than your parry position would actually give you if it was a real sword fight.
yeah,
So that gives you the problem of, okay, is the great sword going to have so much power it blasts through all the guards? Well,
yeah,
if so, how the hell do you balance that?
yeah.
Or is it going to be so gimped that you can parry with your mid and not get blown through?
hmm
At which point, how do you make it worth using?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the conversation we have. Like people want the Bardiche in the game as well, because that's a pretty iconic weapon for this place and time by the Muscovites especially. They were using that weapon, the Muscovite
Hmm.
musketeers.
Yep,
But
yep.
my goodness, that weapon would. You think the Fokosh hits hard? An axe like that would be very, very tough to defend against, I would think. So it's like, how do you balance it? Do you make it super heavy to where it's sluggish, hits like a
It would
truck?
have to be.
But
It would absolutely
yeah,
have to be.
that would be an interesting boss idea, though. I wonder if Kubel is working on something like that, like an opponent who has a superior weapon that gives you a real challenge. Because the problem with this game sometimes in the story I found is you can kind of accidentally win. It's like you're in an exchange with somebody, it's like, oh, he's done because it's a realistic fight, right? Or semi for a game, certainly it's a realistic fight. So that's kind of the
I have certainly had enough fencers accidentally win exchanges and not even
yeah,
realize they'd done it.
yeah,
So I'm okay with that. I'm not so Fokosh has absolute advantage over Saber one-on-one
yeah.
if you're using it correctly. I am not sure that holds for the Berdish. I'm really
Interesting.
not because it is not as fast a weapon and not as versatile a weapon. Hits
I
like a
see.
truck, has a lot of long slicing moves it can do, but it
Yeah,
is a much better mass combat weapon, group weapon, than it is a duelist's weapon.
I could see that. Yeah. I was looking at the weights of those things too. Like, I think some of them are heavier than even halberds, like especially pound for pound. Like they get some of them get really heavy, from what I understand. So,
Well, they're mostly used to stabilize firearms.
right.
So instead of using a fork, you've got a firearm, but you've got something that's up to what, 3, 4 kilograms,
Yeah,
and often in the 3 kilogram range. Okay,
yeah,
you've got two hands. You may or may not have some reach advantage there, but it's going to be sluggish.
right. Yeah, that makes
And if
sense.
it's not sluggish, then you're back to the I win button problem.
Yeah,
If it's one of the lighter weight Bardishes, then it's going to have to absolutely be a quite short one.
yeah. As far as
Hmm.
Maryna, I think we covered more or less everything. She's kind of
There's a lot in
straightforward,
there. I
but
really
yeah.
like the mobility,
Hmm.
and I really, really like the ability of angling the shield to cut while under protection, and
Yeah,
her having a shorter reach and a little bit more fragility seems like a very good balancing for that.
yeah. And it's a subversion of another trope that we sometimes see in media. It's the sort of the shield is an accessory. It's just kind of there. When you're attacking, you swing it behind you and you're not really using it. For a lot of games, that's probably actually a good thing. But it is nice, I think, to see the shield actually playing an active role in the game. And I do
Yeah, I
like
agree.
the fact that she has weaknesses too. Like sure she has that defensive utility, but her stats do not stack up to a lot of
Hmm.
characters in a straight up brawl. If she's trading blows, she's probably gonna lose, and I really like that.
I agree.
Yeah.